deserve to be here. Running that constant.
All right. Hey, welcome into the Raw Podcast. I'm Jonathan. I'm here today with Vince from Divine Masculine Mindset, the Love Beings, and the original of the 300 Sun Tribe. So I guess being the first episode, I'll just go ahead and introduce myself a little bit. I guess I'm a newly awakened since about 2020 hardcore when I went through the first night of my soul. Starseed, who recently kind of is dived in very heavily into alchemy. So this channel will be based on a raw concept of alchemy, raw being the law of one. So the Sun Tribe obviously says everything about that. So for me, I hail from Kansas City, Missouri, and I have a lot of different backgrounds as far as education and jobs. So we don't need to get into too much of that. But this is going to be an alchemist channel, and centered around how we can integrate that into our current reality, our current archetype. So anyways, Vince, welcome to the show. Would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan. So what was your question?
I was going to say, you want to go ahead and kind of introduce yourself just a little bit, maybe a short background?
Yeah, sure. Shortly, in a nutshell, I'm Vince. Online, I'm known under Divine Masculine Mindset because I believe, and to me, it's a fact that your mindset creates your reality. So this is why I chosen that name, Divine Masculine, because the masculine is rising and is in the process of finding back its divinity. So that being said, my mindset is always towards improving myself as a male and to bring more balance in the realm with the masculine and the feminine, to be able to work back like in union and not fighting each other like the way it is mainly at this moment in history. So my background, I come from Montreal, French Canadian. So mainly I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I've been influenced by my father since a very, very young age to have that mindset. So I was very good at school, but after high school, I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't support the frequency over there in schools and how controlled it was. So I just went onto my entrepreneur path since pretty much then, with that massive mentor that is still today my father, when I still around to help me on that path with the mindset that he has and his experience and everything. So this is pretty much my upbringing. And like you, I had different awakening process. The massive one was back in 2013 when I realized that my older son had autism, and I did some research and I made the link with the MMR. Won't name the name, but so to me, he had a very bad reaction to that one. And after that, I realized, based on the different research that I did and some parents that were speaking online, that my story was a copy paste story of thousands of others' family. So this has been this is what catapulted me into a different reality. Outside of this matrix type of system and all the pharmacology and everything. So that has been my first rabbit hole, to awaken from that, and then to find natural medicine and diet and all that good stuff to help to my son to minimize the impact of the damage that he received. So this was back in 2013, and then there is 2020, many people, that was to another level. So that also, when I met Niyama, my twin flame, my partner today. So those are what brought me to another level of consciousness. And when we got contacted by the Love Beings, which is a fleet from the Galactic Federation, through channeling, because Niyama is a channeler. So this is when everything got amplified, and being able to have that direct contact with extraterrestrials, all that knowledge that they are now sharing with us, and all the light as starseeds that we came to anchor in this realm, because this is our job. We are that link from higher realm to and this realm that has been kept in so much low vibration. So we are that link to anchor those higher vibration in this realm to increase the vibration of the planet. So, and back to Ra, because we're also in touch with Ra through channeling. So we are in touch with a lot of beautiful, amazing light beings from higher realm. And we volunteered all the star seeds. So all of those that will see this, we volunteered to come here with a mission on purpose. We signed up for a lot of challenges, and we are here today, awakening to all that, remembering who we are. And so this is why I had the call to create the Sun Tribe, to connect with like-minded being like you, Jonathan, and that now you're part of the Sun Tribe, and I'm very honored to be in your presence and to have met you. And now we are just joining force, like creating that podcast. We need more arms, and to create that army of light beings. And now you are taking the lead on that project, and I'm very grateful for that. So that's about what I can say.
That is very well,
about me.
Very, very well said. Very well spoken.
Thank you.
You know, really, we could go into one aspect of that and just go into a whole conversation. I know it with you because you know, for the first time in my life, I have truly experienced reaching people from far away on just an energy basis, just on a
resonance
on a very specific dialed in frequency, not a range, like a very specific one.
Mm-hmm.
And it is real, you know. So you know,
the way we resonated together the very first time we had that Instagram call, like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
We started to talk, and right away we recognize each other.
The famous butt dial.
Yeah, the butt dial. the universe has its way to do its magic, and which it was through a butt dial. So it's very. So maybe for like to explain to the audience that Jonathan had called me on Instagram by mistake with like a butt dial, and I texted back, hey, you tried to call me? Say, oh no, it was a butt dial. But I say, do you want to talk? I had the call. I had the call to just like see like who's that guy, you know? So let's talk, and we did, and boom, now we're here. So, and we have to listen to those inside. The universe speaks a lot to us.
Oh yes,
different ways. So we have to become more mindful about those external signs, because our guide speaks to us a lot, and the more,
and maybe that speaks to the frequency.
Yes, exactly. So when you are attuned to that, you will receive a lot of messages. Doesn't need to be through channelings and have those hardcore talks. It can be through those little signs, and when you are self-aware, it will guide you on your path, and to find to go back home, because we're all walking each other home. That's the purpose of all that. And then we do that by following our joy. So it's a heart compass, the heart guidance. So when you follow your heart, this is how you can rise.
Amen. Yeah, no, that's again very well said. I felt the same, that, you know, I had to be aware to understand those signs. And I think the first thing for me was, during that little back and forth, the first couple messages was, I've watched some of your stuff for a couple years. And you're like, oh, wow, a couple years? You know, I was like, you know, and because same thing, you know, even though you're putting content and stuff out on the internet, you just never know who is really watching it and who is resonating with it on that fine-tuned frequency, you know. But I felt that right away, same. And with the Sun Tribe, and with what the Sun Tribe meant, what it stood for, you know, there are still specific details, like say the Law of One. I haven't read all 5 books. I've looked into it, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. There's 5 of them. But I haven't read them all, and I want to, but you know, it's it's something that I think that is interesting about the group is that we all kind of have these different backgrounds, and there's some of them are very similar stories, and then some of them are just a different total experience that you had in your soul contract, to get to this point, right, of our existence. So, but I feel that, I feel like that is a way that a lot of people are going to connect, is that fine-tuned frequency, because, they're not all going to be in your community. And we found that out because, during those times that you speak of, we recognize that, like you said, you're awakening with your son, which, sorry that, I say stuff like with even that, it's like how much our kids actually teach us as parents,
There's no need to be sorry.
But
Now that I made again a full episode on autism, the massive role of autism in the ascension process. I have a full hour-long YouTube video, and maybe we can put the link of that video as well below. Yeah, because I did already a lot of work with my YouTube channel. I've been into that YouTube channel for about over 2 years now. Putting that type of content without getting much traction yet, but I know that I am building that channel, which is a massive ascensional vortex. So for those who will pick up and will go to that channel, they can climb up that ascension process real fast. So this is why I did that channel, even if at this point, I don't average much traffic, but it's very specific. But those who get from it, they get a lot of value. So back to that being sorry, we don't have to be sorry for our situation because we all signed up for this. It was all by design. So my son and all the autistic kids, they signed up for this, to wake us up because they don't fit in the mold. They don't fit in the matrix. So to me, it's my son will never fit, will never be able to have a corporate mind. No, they can recover and all that. So I don't want to put him in the box, but he was not a good candidate to have, let's say, a corporate job and to thrive in this matrix and make money and be good on his own. Not at all. So it forced me, because of the love I have for him, to reconsider the whole matrix and what it provides to people. Because me, I could be fine in it and make my money and provide for my family, but my son was not an option. So basically they signed up for this. They're no victim. He knew before incarnating what he was getting into. It's all part of soul contracts and everything, and to gain experience as a soul level to gain experience in this evolutionary process at a soul level. So, and I signed up for that as well. I signed up to be a father of an autistic kids, which has been the biggest challenge of my life. So there is no victim here. We're only victors. This is how I see it.
Yeah, like a ripple effect, or a lot of us in humanity, we like to put the cause and effect into a lot of it. I could see it from that. Yeah. And it's purposeful though, but it's a different perspective, because for me, before watching your segment on it, I just really more understood vaccines from the history of them and what they tried to do with them. And just, so that's where I dived more into that, and obviously with mRNA and nanotechnology and all these things. But so I never looked at it from the perspective of a soul contract, or of somebody was put in somebody else's, reality at that time to be a catalyst for their awakening, who they are in turn a catalyst for somebody else, Yes. And I think that's something that's very important to understand, that's how alchemy, that's how a lot of things are viewed, is that you're using that energy and you're using it as a catapult to raise your awareness, and you're not excusing yourself and getting caught in a feedback loop of negativity, of, that victimhood, which we can, that's very easy. The matrix is designed for us to get into that negative feedback loop, or from what I've ever understood, if you've ever heard
victimhood is glorified.
Yes. And from what I've understood too, is if you've ever heard about what they call the black pill, it's not taking the red or the blue. It's it's like you didn't take the red, like you woke up, but like you're so kind of into this negative feed loop because of your existence. You can't open up your other chakras the way they need to, right? And use that energy. And I'm still learning a lot of things, but like your manipura, I guess is like your solar plex, because that is vital in this ascension process. They even tell us to eat yellow foods, get as much yellow sunlight, like things wear yellow, like, it's
Yellow.
That's where a lot of that comes from. Yeah. Our first episode, I should have had that.
Yeah. Yellow is very important. Yeah. Yellow. Egypt.
Yeah. Right on. So it's and then raw,
Raw.
So like,
yellow.
And exactly. So, there is a lot of interconnected webs to it. So you're right. I mean, we don't need to be sorry for it. So you're absolutely right. I guess for me, that's just a way that I show my compassion and empathy for people, in that setting. Because, I've never had to walk that line as a parent. So I can't tell you what that experience is like, I've had obviously other challenges that I could call myself a victim of, but I don't have.
We all have.
Exactly. And, that's the beautiful thing about understanding it from an alchemical way, is that you can take those things and use them for good in your space. And, finding the balance, I guess you would say, from something that, other people would say is a hindrance, and you see it as a catapult to put you where you are through your ascension process. And that's very, to me, that comes from somebody who's very enlightened, and who's done a lot of inner work,
Yeah. And I understand all that. It's with the help, let's say, of the love beings and all the beings that we channel. So we all have a role to play. They have a role to play from they're not incarnated here. So they are like in the Matrix, the movie, they are like the people that are, let's say, I will butcher the name. What is the name of their craft? Nebuchadnezzar or something?
Nebuchadnezzar or something. Yes.
Yeah, something like that. So they are the people that are there, so those are like the multidimensional beings. And we came in the immersion program back to the Dolores Cannon, the 3 wave of volunteers, back to her work. So we volunteers to come inside the Matrix, to be like insiders and to blow it from the inside out by raising our frequency. So we got our memory wiped, and we are created here, experience all that suffering, all that misery. But because of who we are and where we come from, we're finding our way back home, which is our higher frequencies. And then we start to vibrate at higher frequencies. And just for us being here, we spread the codes around us, all the starseeds that are watching, that you are vibrating to a different frequency, and your job is to vibrate higher and boom, explode, the Agent Smith from the inside. That's a good analogy to me.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. And, and not everybody was here to be a part of the good guys. We have to have the Agent Smiths, right? That's another part of the ascension process, is they serve a role too.
Yes. The bad guys serve a role. That create that duality, the light, the dark. Without dark, there is like, you need a contrast. So this is at a higher level, like all that God creation. So you need the bad guy in the story. Otherwise, like, it's raw. I think that explained that to me through a channeling, that when you are always, let's say, in a higher realm, after billions of years of bliss, you get bored and you want to experience something different. So you go down to play the game and then experiment all that what we are going through. Like, at the end of the day, it's fun.
Yes. Yeah. Well, have you ever heard of the term petty tyrant?
What?
Petty tyrant.
Petty tyrant. No, I never heard.
So it's kind of like used a little bit from my understanding in the spiritual community. So it's not nothing I came up with or anything, obviously, but no, but they say that, like, that's when you go through a waking process, the ascension process, that you have these different levels of these petty tyrants, that they're just people or figures or Agent Smiths in your life that are constantly pushing you in a different way on kind of the negative to keep you in your boundary and for you to keep being able to level up your awareness. So, like, people, it may like suck to say this to some people as an understanding, but like, none of us, you're never, like, if you're really essentially like on the spiritual path, like, you're never going to plateau. Like you never get
No.
to the beach and go, I'm done. I'm good.
No.
Where's my, you know what I mean? Like I'm done.
No,
Like, you
it's
know,
lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So
Yeah.
there it's infinite evolution. So
Yes.
even the multidimensional beings that we speak with, I mean, they say the same. Like even for themselves, they just keep rising and rising and rising. And on a consciousness level, technical level, technology, like they are so like ahead of us. But still, at their level, they understand that they are not that. Like there's much more to it. So it's an infinite and different levels of vibration and consciousness, and everything is interconnected and intertwined. Let's say back to that. If we look at that 64 tetrahedron here, it's a good representation. This is sacred geometry.
Mhm.
Everything is connected. So
Yep.
this could be different dimension, different solar system and all that, different humans, like anything you can imagine. Everything it's a web, and we're all interconnected. There is no
Mhm.
separation in anything. So it's back to the law of one, always and always back to the law of one. In the law
Yes.
of one, we understand like it's a philosophy, and I didn't read the 5 books, so I commend you for that. Well,
Oh, I haven't yet, but I'm
no,
going.
you
to.
haven't yet. Okay,
No.
Andrew did. Andrew did. But yeah, no.
The beast.
Yeah, exactly. So me, like, I understand that the law of one is pretty much inside of me already. I know that I understand that I'm kind of born with it
Mhm.
at a deeper level. So it's like natural to me, and I was thinking like that even before getting the knowledge from from those books and everything. So yeah, so like there's no separation in anything. And back to that, like the matrix and everything, the way to control us is to divide and conquer, is to create separation.
Fragmented.
Fragmented, yes. Black, white, Asian, like by race, by gender, by this, by that, by way of thinking, liberals, conservative, left, right, but it's all like we're all part of that oneness. So there's no separation. This is all illusions, and they control us with illusions. So when you can break free from those illusions, this is where the magic happens.
Yeah. Well, and I think it opens you up to receive this new light, this new information, right? This new energy, this new upgrade each time,
Yes.
little, and it's incremental, right? It's incremental. And
Yeah,
to me,
by
true
layers.
and true change to me is incremental. You know, it's not that you can't have like a radical shift. I believe that, but I believe there's a gauge on that, you know.
Yes, you can have a radical shift, but after you need a lot of time to integrate and digest.
Yes. And yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So, and that's how
Integrate.
frequency works, right? Because it gets just to be too much for you. But I think information is a part of that process.
Yes,
It's
information. Light is information. It's codes, and we're here to spread the
Symbolism.
codes.
Yeah.
Symbolism. Yes, we're here to spread the code. This is our job as awakened starseeds. It's to spread the codes around us. So the way we speak in our eyes, like all our avatar emanates codes when you're awakened to a deeper level, and you just walk around this matrix, and your very frequency will affect people around you. So never underestimate your power. This is something that I could say to the audience that will see that.
Yeah. And I would say too, you know, just to kind of go back to Ra and the law of one, and just so people know too, that, you know, I haven't read it all, and there's a group that's circumferencing around that concept, but I understand the concept. And like for me, where my ascension process and where I've been reading lately is more about through the Gnostic text. So the law of one to that is what they call the monad. That's the infinite source, right? And then there was the dyad, which is more like, I guess if from my understanding, I don't want to mess this up, but it's actually give me 1 second, because, you know,
Go ahead.
it's the dyad is more of the reflection of the monad. And then the triad, which you get the Trinity from a lot of different religions, right?
Okay.
And dogma is the witness to that reflection. So that's where it's a constant feedback loop. But the source shows us that we all are part of one. So I understand the concept, and you can dive into this information, I guess is what I'm getting at, without telling yourself that you have to go and read the 5 books of the law of one. Like immediately.
You have to follow your bliss. You have to follow your bliss, your joy. If it's your bliss to study that, do it. I mean, follow your joy. If it's not your bliss, it's good to take a look at it. You know, there is an amazing podcast on Spotify made by being named Gabe. So it's the Law of One and the Law of Non-Duality. So you can find it on Spotify. So maybe we can also put the link below for that, for those who have the call, just to go to listen few episodes. This is what I did, I like just to cherry pick different episode and get like a gist of it, and to have a better overall understanding. And then if it's your call to dive deep and go study it to a very deep level, follow your joy. Life is about to be happy and joyful. So a massive hack is to follow your joy without losing your sense of responsibility, obviously. So it's like, follow your joy and stop paying your bills and feeding your kids. No, it's not that. It has to be balanced, So be a responsible, solid being, a provider if you're a male, nurturer if you're a female, and follow your bliss and find your balance into that.
Yeah. And, and on this show, I think that's where a lot of us, especially, the divine masculines are going to kind of come from, is how do you do that? Like you just said, how do you integrate that into your daily life? Like, how do you make your exit plan? How do you, alchemize the energy to reach these certain levels? So for us, we're not going to spend on this channel necessarily like going over individual books of Ra. We may reference it, but you don't have to read every book to understand what we're referencing, and then to be able to take that concept and integrate it into something else that makes sense that you can apply to your daily life, your weekly life, your monthly life, your yearly life, because I know for me, what's changed is all things in my life start to change. I don't even celebrate New Year's on New Year's anymore. To my understanding, the 13-month calendar, so where our circadian rhythm is March 21st. So that's
Gregorian calendar. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've never been aligned with that. Like, even as a teenager, I was going in the woods with my horse, going camping in winter.
Yeah.
I've never been that type of guy,
Yeah. And this is just another man-made thing, right? That we understand is a part of, the fragmentation. But so people should understand as we move forward on this channel for the Raw podcast, we're going to reference Raw, because
a lot.
A lot.
Yes. And Raw, I mean, I had that talk with him. Like, I had the call to create a tribe, the 300 Sun Tribe. And I had that full-blown talk with him. And this whole Sun Tribe, this whole what we are doing here is a co-creation with Ra through channeling, because there is that original word. It's important to mention the Law of One has been channeled through channeling 40 years ago by LL Research. It's important to mention that and to give credit where credit is due. It's LL Research, Don, Jim, and Don Jim. What is the name of the channeler again?
I forget her name. Is it Carla?
Carla? Thank
Carla.
You. I say her name all the time, but I have that blank right now. So
you're welcome.
Yeah.
No worries.
So Carla. So they did that, and based again on my talk with Rod, that was like put in place, like, because there is many beings that came before us, even centuries ago, to prepare that ascension process, like building blocks,
Mm-hmm.
So that Law of One has been put in place 40 years ago for us at this point in time for the ascension process and its function. And it's on my YouTube channel, and I had that documented channeling with Ra. It's a door for the ascension process. So now us, 40 years later, we see that door, we find that information, and we say like, wow, it's amazing. So let's go through that door to enter that new space,
Yeah.
So channeling is a big part of what we do here. So we will a lot reference to Raw channeling, and maybe down the road we will see. I know that this podcast, it's not like about like just channeling at all, but it's a center, like it's pivotal for us, the channeling and the information we receive through channelings from Raw and other council of the Galactic Federation. So maybe down the road we will have Ra on the show. Who knows where this will lead us, but it could be a possibility to have Ra here on the show with us.
Yeah.
So we will see what we will do with that down the road for sure.
Yeah, and that's I like that you brought that into it, because that is very important towards what this channel and what this podcast is going to be about. So is focused around Ra, focused around channeling, focused around connection with others that fine tune and resonate with that certain frequency.
Yes.
And, I just want to preference, for myself, I want the people that come on here and maybe down the road, maybe watch this one day, is that, don't try to be so quick to go out and label things. And
the humans love to label things. They need
Yes.
it to function. But it's a trap. I mean, for now, like sometimes, like I purposely put labels on things for people to understand. But like you were saying, I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah, go ahead. But that's exactly it, because I feel the same. And I actually, it's funny, the frequency is fine tuned, because I was going to bring in that, like, labeling. So what people understand that labeling things just usually it's actually a tool that is used to confuse. Like it's very hard sometimes to label some of these concepts or something and to simplify, but we need analogies. I'm sorry, that's what I was going to say. So we're fine tuned there on that frequency, because you were talking about analogies, because that is for me, even as I learn more information, I still need analogies to help me along that process. And so you're right. You do have to somewhat label some things to some degree. Mm-hmm. But what I really meant is for this channel and all intents and purposes is we want to be able to connect with people who, you don't have to go and watch a 2-hour documentary. You can just kind of dive in a little bit and find different information on channeling, on Ra, or you can find it on how, some healthy eating, some biohacking, because I know that we're all learning more of these things that, to me, what I feel like you're going to have to kind of go through this spiritual process to quote unquote make it, because
100%.
Fasting to me is actually very spiritual. There's a reason they did it a lot back in the day. A simple loaf of bread can feed a lot of
all
people.
The biohack. This is a massive rabbit hole that we will touch on that podcast for sure. So I just want to get back to your analogy point, which is very important, because from higher realm, it's all about analogies. They work with analogies a lot for us to simplify things for us.
Yes.
And all those prophecies, like to me, they are analogies. So a lot of people in the spiritual community are super attached to those prophecies. I see people that are trapped into prophecies because that prophecy says that, so it has to be that. No, everything is much more flexible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to one extent, because with the channeling we are doing, and before we're way more active. Let's say we have an Instagram page called The Love Beings. We were doing lives every week, so we were attracting like a lot of people. So there is that prophecy about the rainbow bridge to bring us like that ascension process. So at one point, someone asked me have you seen the rainbow bridge? Okay, what you want me to? I was confused a bit, so I asked the Love Beings what was that rainbow bridge. So what they explained to me, it said it's an analogy. So that person was expecting to see an actual rainbow bridge, but we are already walking on it as we speak right now. We're walking on that rainbow bridge because we're taking action to better our life. But it's an analogy. It's a rainbow bridge, yes, but it's not an actual rainbow Care Bear type of bridge,
Mm-hmm. And that's how I think of it right away too. So it's a different, like you said, they have to use analogies, and we have to use analogies. We have to use analogies for people and people need to understand that this isn't a hierarchy of an ego thing where, you don't understand it quite the way we do. And whatever, it's just, what I meant by simplify and label is I don't want you to label something from this channel and say that that's all it's going to be about, because there's going to be some predeterminism, like I've thought, obviously it's going to be an alchemist type of channel.
Yeah.
But, it'll have different subsections of things that people can dive into. Yes. And, because you'll learn through this process that whatever works for me doesn't necessarily work for Vince,
Oh no, it's all personal. So it's just to provide general light, and people will find their own bliss and their own path into it. Mm-hmm. It's like to share perspective. Yeah, I am all about perspective. So when we do channeling, I ask, what is your perspective on that topic? So I want to get perspective from higher realm. And then from that perspective, it gives me some different, okay, there is this, there is that way to see it, what fits best for me on my path, on my life. And then I apply it tailored to me for my needs and where I want to go.
Yeah,
so that's key.
It is. That's a great way to put it. And, nice. So a little bit about, Niyama and her role. So could you tell us a little bit more about maybe how paint that picture a little bit more for, what that impact was for you internally, if that made you level up so much? I know that can be a general question, but I guess maybe to simplify it, what did Niyama, add to your life spiritually that impacted you so much to wake you up to bring you to where you are now?
Yeah, but it's massive because basically through the channeling and the love beings and all the beings that we've been in touch with, like we understood that we are actual like twin flame, which means that we come from the same oversoul. So it's like the soul can split and we are part of the same soul. So we are actual twin flames. So when I met her, it was like speaking to myself, but the feminine version. So it was that direct reflection of myself. I remember when we started dating, texting on the phone, at one point I said, to me, it feels like out of this world, because when I text you, it's like if I am speaking to my own self. And it was the same for her. So this has been a massive, I guess, reason or elevation, because you get that instant like feedback loop, but as a mirror of your own self. And it's a very accurate mirror because it's like you speaking to you. So so this is I guess it's a very general question, but I would answer in that like general way, like this is what comes to me when to answer your question.
That's great. Tell me about it. Just what I hear from that, though, especially from, I think, a masculine standpoint, is, there has to be a lot of trust in your intuition, to trust that this person you just met is, you know what I mean? Is it like you have to trust yourself too, I feel like that's where, you really have to tell yourself that you're not maybe diving in too deep, right away with something. So do you feel like you ever had to fight any intuition, or was there any of an imbalance that you had to, talk yourself into? You're this twin flame and you have this different understanding per se, or you're still going to revert back to, I guess, for what I would say, a hive mentality, where just like everybody else believes, oh, that can't be real, whatever, just, you know what I mean? Like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause you're talking about terms like the oversoul and stuff where, a lot of people might not exactly know what that fragmented, thing is, right? Because that's kind of what it is. But so, intuition is really big from my understanding. So
because at the time I didn't know about that. I didn't know. So it was just like me following, like you said, my intuition. And I always have been like that, following my own path and being very curious and to go try stuff. This is what life is all about, is to experiment. It's a big experience. It's for the soul to experience a thing in one lifetime. So I always been very curious and very like willing to go into adventures. So with her, it has been no different. So, and I was just drawn so much into that encounter, and I was every day was just to go deeper and deeper, and I like to go deep into stuff. So it was just natural to me to go there. It was just natural.
Yeah. So do you think that most, if not all, twin flames, when they meet, do you think they know it right away?
No.
Could you explain why you think that?
I didn't know.
Yeah. So
I didn't know. So I will provide more details. So to me, I didn't know at all, because, I was, I reintroduced like the dating market after a long marriage. So I was in the process of like dating and to experiment a bit and to see what was a fit for me. So at the beginning, I cannot say it was like a massive difference, What was very specific is where we met. It was not in a nightclub. It was not like in a typical place or Tinder or anything like that. It was in a protest. So we were into an environment where like-minded people gathered together to protest against it all, everything that was going on at that time. So as a starter, it's it's an indication that you will, and I went there on purpose because I wanted to meet like-minded girls. So this is why I went to that protest at the first place, because I know that where you meet people, it has a big influence on the quality of people that you can meet. So I just wanted to increase my odds to meet a quality female that I could,
I like it.
Yeah.
You set the intention and then you made action.
Oh yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I set the intention and I made, so she was there and I did what I did, like cold approach and everything, all those skills that I practiced for myself to improve my reality. Yes. So I did my little magic and I got her number, and from there I did my my mojo, and here we are 3 years later, 3 years and a half in this beautiful adventure.
Nice. Yeah, it does make me think about my own too. And, I intuitively fought with it for a while, but when I understand it more on the terms of the oversoul, just I'll reference that once again for maybe some of those people who don't know what that is, but it's essentially, from my understanding, it's a fragmentation, but you're on one specific light frequency. And from that, there's a female and a male version of that spark that is originally created. And that essentially is the one soul, like you were referencing, correct? In the feminine and masculine twin flame version.
Yeah. And people need to understand that the twin flame things, like everyone is looking for their twin flame in this lifetime. But it doesn't mean that it will be your experience. It doesn't mean that it is what you chose before incarnating. Because as explained to me, again, by the love beings, through those channelings and through that intelligence that I still highly trust today, is that your twin flame could be your brother, could be your sister, could be your mom, could be in a higher realm as a spirit guide. So yes, so it doesn't mean that you incarnated to experience that twin flame union in human form, like male female. It could be two brothers together, could be two sisters, and it's your twin flame. It's the same soul, but it's not in a divine union, male female typical union. So this is a very important point that I learned through those beings that explain all those stuff to me, and that video is on our Divine Couple YouTube channel. So maybe we can put the link of that video about twin flame for those who have the call to dive into a hour-long video that is dedicated to that.
Yeah,
that's a massive rabbit hole by itself.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you could really spend some time on any of these subjects, like when you dissect it. It is a lot of information, that's exactly, I didn't understand it to that level. So it's kind of nice to hear somebody's perspective a little bit differently on it. I didn't know that it could be a spirit guide per se. I do feel like, most of the people in my culture, obviously most cultures are looking for that person, right?
And
so I guess
and social media as well, everybody's talking about that. So I met my twin flame. It was not, and I met another twin, like they go from twin flame to twin flame to twin flame. That's typical.
And and people have to understand that that's a part of the hijacking and psyops of stuff that you face. It's right, you have to discern which ones are genuine, right? And they're actual and genuine information behind the structure, the archetype of the twin flame and how it resonates and, it ties into everything, I guess you'd say. But, people will just have to, I guess, intuitively find out if they are going to meet that person this lifetime or not. It's hard to think about it from a mother son or mother daughter concept for me. I just don't know. Like, I'm trying to envision that in my head, because I've
Yeah.
always thought twin flame was a strong feminine and masculine, but we do know that you can have a strong masculine inside a feminine, body.
Mhm.
So I see that side of it, but
But
I
people
guess,
will know. People will know. Like, I will give an example that other like role model that are twin flame to me, like 100%, according to, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I will give an example that like everybody today, they know about, let's say, Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan Tate. So
mhm.
to me, these two brothers, to me, it's definitely a twin flame type of relationship. And Niyama agrees as well, because when we look at them, like, we see us in them a lot. So to me, those two are twin flames, but as brothers. So that would be an example to what I'm saying here. Yes, that would be a good example.
Interesting. So let's circle back real quick to the ascension process. Um, you know, um, but I guess, where do you physically see yourself as your ascension proceeds to be in a future tense, since the physical nature and environmental landscapes will change? So I could.
Where I see myself, like, when exactly is it? Like in a couple of years?
Well, I guess, like, yeah, near future, because we all know that the physical world is going to change, and we know there's a lot of fear propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see yourself, like, as an ascension process, and physically, like, where, not like, I mean, what could be for you anything, like,
Mm-hmm.
are you gonna, fast for 5 or 10 days? Are you gonna be living somewhere else? Are you,
Yes.
you know what I mean? All
To
these
me,
things.
to me, it's off grid, 100%. We have to go off grid and to be living back into tribes, the way nature works. So to begin those big cities, it's fake. It's a trap. It removes a lot of powers from ourselves. So we have to get back to find our soul family and to gather in tribes based on our frequency and resonance. So at the higher consciousness level, we understand that there are different type of people. There are the earth people, the air people, the water people, fire people. So there are the different type of element in our personalities. So the water people will gather more with the water people, fire people more with fire people. So we need to elevate that state of consciousness to understand that it's not because you are in a specific family that they are your tribe. I mean, your cousin doesn't mean that you are closer to your cousin, that someone that you don't know that live in Australia, but that you will match on a frequency level. So now with the internet, people can start, this is what I'm doing, to broadcast my frequency out there to attract those beings that resonates, and to a deeper level, the beings that I will establish myself with as a tribe, as a community. And there is already a huge movement of people going off grid, and I think this will amplify a lot, in the sense that at some point we know that Babylon is falling. So right now I'm still living in the city here, like I'm in Canada here near Montreal, so it's still livable. But as we progress, now people are, let's say, have fear to go to another country to go live, let's say, off grid. But at some point, when the pioneers like us will have established themselves and like have like more solid base camp, at some point it will feel safer for a lot of people to go join them than to stay in the cities here. So down the road in this ascension process, I definitely see myself being off grid for sure, and
Interesting.
in full abundance with the sun, the nature, because nature is God technology. So when you're out in nature, you don't need that much to be happy, like when you're good with yourself, with your inner world. So when you are in nature, you understand that you are already billionaire. And when you have a strong community and you can bond with people, and you know that people around you have your back, And so but that requires another level of consciousness to be able to live that way, because now the way we live in this matrix in the cities, you can do pretty much whatever dumb shit and there is no much consequences to it. But when you live in a tribe, you need to behave in a way that you're accountable for pretty much all your behavior, so you cannot act like a dumb and expect to be comfortable out there in the tribe. So this is like force us to grow up very, very fast. This is the way I see it.
Yeah, to grow sovereign,
Yes.
to grow extremely sovereign for the whole is the way
Yes.
I understand it. You know what I mean? So because you can't, if you're not really sovereign, it's hard for you to be in a tribe of the whole, so anyways, but that's a different topic. No, I like that because I feel there is, tipping points. I don't know when, but I do feel like there's a clock, there's always energy cycles. And we know that, like you said, you referenced Babylon is falling.
Yeah.
I reference that a lot as well myself, because truthfully, that's what it is. And it does feel like that to people. It's not before where it was just kind of like, 70s song lyrics in a song, and some people kind of understood what that meant, but now it's like people know what it really, really means, at an energy level. I do feel that you're right on, because, I feel like you are going to see this shift where people are making that shift to go live more tribe-like, in nature. And other people are going to say that those people are crazy, and they're going to stay so plugged in,
Yeah.
They may leave in time and they may not.
Until it might become too late for them.
There you go. Right. That's exactly it. And, nobody really knows what that is. Me understanding a little bit more from a Gnostic belief of the archons and these archonic systems. And really any system that is, for anybody that wants to know, is a system that controls you and keeps you from your divine purpose and from your full sovereignty. And that doesn't necessarily have to be your job. It could be somebody's job. It could be somebody's marriage. It could be somebody, whatever. It keeps you, you know what I mean? Whatever archonic system that you just locked yourself in, and you're stuck. You're consciously stuck, this frequency. But what are some of those systems now, since you live in that matrix in the city, as do a lot of us who are understanding this and waking up to this and understanding that, there is a need to seek other new earth concepts and physical spaces somewhere else on this planet. But what are some of those systems that keep you from that furtherization of that ascension process physically, and what I would say an archonic system,
What keeps me from going, taking action now to go, let's say, off grid and everything? To me right now, it would be the financial, the finance that would be required to go off grid like that. So we need to come up with solid plans to go establish ourselves like that. So it's not just to go out with a tent and backpack, So so for now, the matrix, the archonic society that we live in, provide us all those, it's very convenient to live here. As long as you pay your bills, you have access to everything, energy, and all, the grocery store. So we have to start from scratch. So that takes, first we need to find a good team, and the different skill sets, and then to take action to walk towards that. So I don't know if that answered your question. Was it the essence of your question?
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's completely valid. I mean, I go right to that too. I think a lot of people do, because, in my understanding, a lot of us who have been morally sound people, we've always kind of been financially in check, right? Because I know in my lifetime, I've had opportunities to maybe lessen my integrity for a business deal, right? Or something else. And I just would never do it because it's just never me, So have I made money to live and for me, live a life I'm grateful for? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But I've had to work hard myself for a lot of those opportunities, which I don't mind. Like yourself, you've mentioned it. So I think finances is definitely can be something that's binds us in this matrix, So yeah, and I mean, that is the ascension process, is further stripping away those things, those old matrix archonic systems that we can, and money is one of them. So, but yeah, that's very interesting. All right. Well, hey, Vince, I wanted to thank you, for joining me this afternoon. Thank you for committing your time. Appreciate it, brother. It's been a joy just kind of getting to know you a little bit more on a personal level, and you letting the viewers here get to meet you on a little bit personal level in your background and where you started on your process. So I am grateful that you got to share that with us today.
Yeah, so thank you. I'm grateful for you, Jonathan, for taking action to create that podcast. Again, my tagline is always together we rise, synchronized, we thrive. So to me, it's the way of the new herd. The mentality that I can do it all on my own it's no longer. This is not the way to go anymore. We cannot make it on our own, because the only way that we could make it on our own was with the help of the matrix that we are destroying here. Mm-hmm. So we have to get back into that type of mindset. So thank you very much for that co-creation, beautiful co-creation.
Thank you.
I was,
beautifully
working hard to attract beings like you. And then boom, it's here today, and we're doing that podcast, and you are taking the lead on that. So I'm super grateful. Super
yeah. Well, it is
because I was not expecting to do the first episode. Is it something that we will post, or it's just to practice?
Oh, I probably just I want to practice and edit it. Because as I'm thinking, we can actually talk a little bit and practice, because I can go ahead and edit some parts out. I mean,
for sure, we're doing now. Put it in something. That's the magic of recording stuff, of not being live.